Savage, X1. Feline, Mono Black is X1. All right, we're going to switch to the action here. And we've got a mull to 6 and a mull to 5. And it looks like they're ready to go.
Yeah, so we have Matt Tierney here. He's our Jund Monsters player, 7-0 on the left. Will Erker on the right. He is playing Mono Blue Devotion.
Yep. Will's got the island, but appears no 1-drop for the Mono Blue players.
So Will, you said Will's the one on 5, right? And Tierney's on 6?
I did not catch the numbers, just as 6 and 5. So.
All right.
Jund Monsters player, Matt here. He's got the Elvish Mystic, shocking himself to play that. Will, no turn 2 play either.
Yeah, so actually as far as mulligans go here for Will, I don't think this is so bad. You know, if I gave you the option of having a hand of lands and Judges Familiars on a mull to 5, or a hand of lands and Thasses on a mull to 5, I would say give me the Thasses.
That's a good point. You know, not also having the double island and not being clogged up with Mutavault.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, it's really going to depend on what he follows up with here. Right. You know, Night Veils would be good, Thasses would be good, Bidens would be good, any of those sorts of things.
Matt with the Courser of Crucifix showing Gore Clan Rampager off the top. And there's Will with the 3rd land, Mutavault, but still no play.
Yeah, and there's some danger here. The Mono Blue deck, it is a tempo deck at the end of the day, and tempo decks notoriously do not play very well from behind. You see now Tierney has 2 creatures on the board. I guess Elvish Mystic's not too much of a creature, but the scary thing is between this Gore Clan, if Tierney can simply curve this Gore Clan into the Storm Breath that's coming up, you know, Will's gonna have a really hard time coming back from this.
Right. I don't know if Mono Blue is so good at fighting back with no pressure whatsoever. You know, they're a resilient deck, but with no board presence. As you can see, Matt shock himself here with the Blood Crypt for a 4-drop, it looks like.
Yeah, a lot of their cards get a lot better when you're ahead, and they're worse when you're behind.
And he just flat out plays the 4/4 Trampler.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you want to do. More threats on the board will really, you know, he wants to get a superior board presence. It's, you know, for Erker to come back on this board, he's going to need, like, a lot of help, right? He'd have to get a rapid hybridization, maybe, or if he has a main deck domestication, which, okay, there you go.
Domestication on the Courser that got in there for 2 last turn.
Yeah, and that's a start. He really needs to hope, though, that Tierney does not have that 5th land for a dragon.
Yeah, otherwise he's going to be under quite a bit of pressure.
And
there's Overgrown Tomb shocking himself again, but Dragon coming in hot.
Yeah, so with 8, that puts Erker down to 9 life already.
Yeah. This is a tempo swing that I don't think he can make up for.
I mean, probably not. You see he draws Biden there. Biden's just not a card here. He does get that free island if he wants it, which I'm sure he'll take.
And a life.
But yeah, so he needs to he needs to find some removal, maybe even bounce. All right, rapid hybridization. That's great, but I think he needs pretty much needs a copy in his hand too.
Right. Looking at a list, he does have a Cyclonic Rift too that could buy him some time. So.
Yeah, if he has a Rift in hand and could survive up to 7 mana, he may be able to reset the board. He actually has a lot of card advantage going right now, so that if he did survive until a reset, like he could in that situation, I think he might actually be able to get this game.
All right, let's see what he's found here. This is just gonna tap into 4 mana.
Yeah, I mean, Master Waves would be pretty good here. He could trade off with the Gore Clan, but
gonna go with the Biden and get in there with the Courser.
Yeah, well, this is pretty nice. He knows he's drawing rapid hybridization off the Courser.
Yep, with the blue mana. What's he got there? Cloudfin on top? Yep.
Yeah, not ideal, but really, I actually kind of like it because it's cheap. And
it can jump in front of that dragon.
Yeah, it can jump for the dragon. And actually, like, so if he wants to get back on the board, right, he's gonna not only have to answer Tierney's things, but he needs to just, like, make a lot of his own things. And his biggest restriction right now is mana, so I'm pretty much open to any 1-mana spell that he would want to cast here.
Matt there with the Temple, and he's just going to turn everything sideways.
And this is pretty huge. This is a swing. This is 7 guaranteed damage, so Will's down to 4.
And if he has another Gore Clan here,
yeah, that's lethal.
He's got the mana represented, so.
Right, if he has the Gore Clan, Erker's dead to it. Let's see, I would have to think he's gonna, well, this is an interesting choice. Yeah. If he hits, the Storm Breath will kill him when it hits 7 mana, and the Gore Clan tramples. And I think I agree with him hitting Storm Breath. That seems
turn
harder.
The dragon into a frog lizard.
I always like that aspect of the card.
And there's a Scavenging Ooze following the attack.
Yeah, just more stuff is really helpful. Draw of Cloudfin. And he plays a second main deck Domestication.
Right.
If he can find a way to draw that here, and I don't think he can, but if he could, drawing it and hitting that ooze before it grows would be real good on Erker.
So he's going to play the Cloudfin Raptor and the Master. He's going to get him a boatload of horsies here.
Erker may have turned. This is interesting. He may have turned a corner here. Master of Waves, exactly the kind of card he wants.
Yep.
Remember, he has 2 Mutavaults too. This is, and that was for.
Yeah, if he can untap a turn here.
Yeah, that was for 6. Saying before, when saying that this was a bad matchup, like a tough matchup for Jund Monsters, was a lot of that was because of Master of Waves. Like, you know, this Master of Waves right now is what we have 14 power for 4 mana, and Tierney basically has to fight through all of it.
Yep. And they can soak up some damage too.
He's so close.
Matt takes a draw here.
He does have 2 main deck Mizium Mortars. If he can draw one of those, that'll be game over for sure. So there are draws to Tierney. He has 2 main deck Ultimate Price to kill the Master. Mizium Mortars, like I said, would kill everything except the Master, which is good enough.
Itself, yeah. He's pondering his hand, keeping it pretty close to the vest there.
Yeah, well, my guess he doesn't have a slam dunk play like that. We would have seen it by now.
Yeah. Just plays a land and passes.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if he doesn't have one of those cards, and this is why Master's so good, right? Yeah. If he doesn't have a Mizium Mortars or an Ultimate Price, like, what is he supposed to do on this board, you know? You really can't attack with, well, anything.
Yeah, the Master and company just clogs up the board, plus he's got the Mutavaults now that he's untapped.
Yeah, he's got to be aware, if you will, you have to be aware of the existence of Mizium Mortars here, though.
Right.
Even though, like, you stabilized the board, you're 1 top deck from dead. So you might...
You still need to find some way to apply pressure.
Right. You want to apply some pressure. Like, sure, he's going to swing the Cloudfin Raptor and get a free card draw off that. And that card draw is going to be this Thassa on top of his deck. So there's a lot good going for him, but...
Once he gets that Thassa going, then he can start really putting the pressure on.
Yeah, he'd like to win in 2 turns if that's possible. I don't, he can't win on this swing. I would be looking at him and I'd saying, hey, can you win on the next one? And the answer's like, well, hard to say. You can like do stuff like domesticate the frog lizard, just take away more blockers.
Right. Yeah, and there is no answer to mortars. So if Matt draws mortars, there's nothing Will can really do about it.
Right. The one thing he can kill him quick. That's his answer to it.
All right, he's
all right. Big fan here.
Pushing it all in.
Question is whether or not this is lethal. I mean, I think he probably anticipates it is. All right, so I didn't actually do the math on this. Let's see. We have 1, 2, all right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 attackers. There are 5 blockers, so 6 will get through. That's only 12 damage. Counting that again, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only, well, except
2 of it's unblockable in the flyer, if that's relevant.
Yeah, well, yeah, so that's, I mean, they're all 2s, right?
The Mutavaults are getting pumped by the...
Mutavaults are 3s, yeah.
They're getting pumped by
2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 attackers, 5 blockers. Yeah, I don't see this being a lethal attack, especially not when you think that Scavenging Ooze can gain him a life, which it did.
Interesting.
What are you up to, Mr. Erker?
He does have a second rapid hybridization in his deck. If he's, if the swing back is a concern or something, if he can make him kill off enough things on the block.
Well, Gorkline Rampager, Frog Lizard, and Scavenging Ooze should all live through this attack, so I wouldn't think that a rapid would be enough. Said I don't see it.
That being said, he's still putting the pressure on Matt to decide blocks.
All right, Gorkline Rampager on a Mutavault. Yeah, I mean, the blocks are fairly straightforward here. And it's not like he has any tricks. Mono Blue's not, the deck is such a known quantity.
There's no pump spell coming.
Yeah, it's like if you're the jump player, you can be like, well, I kind of know your entire deck list, so you don't get surprised very often by a Mono Blue Devotion list.
Do you think it's, yeah, I mean, in the situation, I don't think I'd be that afraid of one-turn Mizium mortars. So.
No, I would only make, right, like I said, I thought it was all about securing that he can win in 2 turns. That's what I thought, you know, which I was pretty sure he could if he just swings the flyer, draws Thassa, plays Thassa. Like this attack next turn seems like it would have been lethal. It's, you know, it's going to put Tierney to 2, for example.
Right. I mean, Matt didn't even think about attacking last turn. So.
Right.
So he's got his Mutavault active too. Hasn't put that on anything yet.
So unblocked creatures we have. Yep. We'll see here. It's 2, 4, 6, so 8 power worth of elementals. Plus a Cloudfin Raptor makes 10. Plus a Courser makes 12.
Is one of the Mutavaults getting through?
No, they are both being blocked. That does not look lethal to me. And has he made an error? Perhaps he forgot about the Mutavault on Tierney's side. If he did, it would have looked like a lethal attack.
That's true. Well.
Or there's another thing he could have done, and this is a mistake that I have made myself. It's possible if he counted the domestication as a creature. Like when I go and tap through my permanents and I have something like that, I have done that before. Where I've tapped, you know, you just tap through all the whole, how many cards are here? 1, 2, 3.
Shoving everything sideways.
Yeah, and you're like, wait, domestications, that's not a creature. Hold on. Yeah, he's gonna draw a ton of cards now. Let's keeping that in mind.
Yeah.
He did hit him with 6 creatures. He's gonna draw 6.
And
if he remembers to.
Right, the Gore Clan's the only thing there with trample. So if he finds just
1,
you know,
2, 3, 4.
The Tidebinder can tap it down.
5. He draws a 6th card, I believe. I believe it was 6. Yeah, it was 4 elements. It was 6 creatures that got through.
Judge's Familiar there, Tidebinder, the Thassa we saw, an island.
Yeah. To be fair, it's legal to draw 5 cards. You don't have to call a judge on anything like that. If you want to draw fewer cards, you can.
And he gains the life off the Courser there.
Now, I think Erker's going to be saved a little bit here. So by drawing Tidebinder, if he plays Tidebinder to tap down Gorklan Rampager and then chumps Scavenging Ooze next turn, he will go to, he won't die. So he actually, the fact that he drew the island and the Tidebinder is good enough, and I think can bridge him to victory, but he made this way closer than it needed to be.
I mean, Mortars is still, no, not with Tidebinder. Never mind.
No, Mortars, well, Mortars would still be lethal because you just get 2 of your attackers
the Ooze,
through.
right, yep, the Ooze and the Frog Lizard, so.
Any pump spell's lethal. It doesn't particularly, as long as he doesn't, it doesn't even matter what he taps, really. I don't think it's going to matter. Ideally, he should only take 3. The thing he should let through is the Frog Lizard. If he let through Gorklan, it's not actually that much worse, but.
All right, well, it's tapping down the 4/4 there.
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't matter. Tidebinder's just going to chump block.
All right, Matt draws a card.
Yeah, I do wonder whether it was like one of those things where, like I said, accounting domestication as a creature or something like that. He's going to jump in front of Scavenging Ooze, and he drew Gorklan.
And he had the Gorklan Rampager.
And that will be it. Erker knows that he messed it up. But he gets 2 more chances, and this is still a good matchup for him.
On a mold of 5, he almost stole it, so.
Yeah. To be fair, it may not be. If you go back there, and Tierney has a Gorklan, so let's be forgiving here of Erker for a second, because he had a lot of attackers on the board, but if you look at the toughness he had, so he had 6 elemental tokens, that's 6 points of toughness. A Master of Waves, that's 7. A Cloudfin Raptor makes 10, and of course a Crewfix makes 14. Like, if Tierney swings the team and Gorklan Rampager's a blocker, it's very possible that it's still lethal.
That he just loses anyway because his blockers aren't big enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're like big enough at any one spot, but he may not. Yeah, because so what he'd have to do is he would have to, so all the creatures are a 3, a 5, and a 4. So since any of them, like, he can't let 5 trample damage through, he'd have to put all but, he'd have to put enough toughness to block all the power of each creature. So he'd have to put 12 toughness in front of all the creatures. So like, I guess he could have blocked everything, but he would have lost his whole board.
There is the, if he blood rushes the Rampager, he can still eat it with the ooze too, with the creature.
Oh
in the
wow,
graveyard.
you're right.
So.
Okay, and he can't swing the Cloudfin Raptor that turn because if he swings Raptor, he won't have enough toughness to not die to Gore Clan. So I'm not sure. Like, did Will make a bad attack? Yeah, but I'm not sure the other line he lives through. So in that sense, it might just be, well, he had the Gore Clan.
Yeah, I mean sometimes that's just the way it is. That's why you play the Rampager. Let's take a look at the sideboards here. Will, he's got another Rapid Hybridization, another Cyclonic Rift, 2 Jace Memory Adept. We've got 2 Dispel, 2 Dissolve, 2 Negate, 4 Gainsay, and it looks like that's another Domestication.
Yeah.
I can't really read his writing.
No, it's another Domestication. All right. Rapid Hybridization is pretty good in this matchup. Like I said, Pelucranos is actually a pretty big issue for your deck, and Rapid's a great answer to it, especially when your opponent's playing, 4 and 5 mana creatures. Like, you'd sign up for Rapid Hybridization all day. So I'm pretty sure he'll bring that in. I think Cyclonic Rift's also pretty good. Once again, it's just a great tempo card. You're paying less than the thing you're stealing. I'll be interested to see whether he brings in more Domestication. In the past, that has not been good in this matchup. However, they are playing Corsair Krufix now, so there's a little more of a reason to think about playing a card like Domestication.
Yeah, the only concern there bringing it in against the Jund monsters is they usually have some Golgari charms, some things that can blow you out there. So.
Right. So let's look at the other side. What is Tierney up to out of the sideboard? And the answer is pretty much going to be just kill spells. So he wants lots of ways to deal with Master Waves. So like you said, all right, 2 Golgari Charm, check, 2 Putrefy. Those are now he's much better at killing Master Waves from this out of the sideboard. He also has 2 Mistcutter Hydras, which seem perfectly reasonable against a deck that's only blue.
That's why the card's there.
Right. It's for the card screams play me against a blue deck.
Yep.
So that's going to be pretty good here. The matchup is a little closer post-board, but I still would want to be on the mono blue side of it.
Yep. The extra riff there, I'm pretty sure he would have killed for an extra riff in that game to be able to bounce and save some life, especially with the Gore Clan Rampagers running around.
Yeah. So, I mean, Cyclonic Rift at any point, actually, there just would have been a lot of simple plays, like if he had rifted, when Matt Tierney played the first Gore Clan Rampager, just rifts it.
Right.
Okay, unsummon, yeah, I lost a card, but you didn't get a 4/4. Like, that may have been good enough.
Will be on the play.
Yeah.
Hopefully both of these players can have closer to 7-card hands than the 5 and 6.
Yeah, we were in a little bit, for a 5-card hand versus a 6-card hand, that was a surprisingly normal game of Magic between the two decks.
Right.
A lot of times when you have these mulligans, you see, one deck kind of fails to show up or has a really odd game plan. And I would say that didn't really happen. The decks played more or less, Tierney curved a turn 3/4 drop into a turn 4/5 drop. And Will, he didn't have any early pressure. But
had he had a Thassa on turn 3, I think that game's entirely different.
If he has Cloudfin Raptor on the way up, sure, there's a lot of ways it's different.
Looks like they're good with their 7-card hands here, and Will's got the Cloudfin Raptor.
All right, so now that he has creatures, let's see how much pressure he can put down here. Jund monsters, like, if we're to say the weakness of the deck, I feel, it's that, like, its best draw is turn 1 Temple, turn 2 Sylvan Caryatid. Yep. Like, that's your best draw. And I'm like, if you compare that to the best draws of other decks, like, that's a surprisingly, you don't do anything in the first 2 turns, and there's not much, like, there's no helping that.
Yep, Matt had the Temple, and Will, from what he didn't have last game, has plenty this game.
Yeah, a bunch of little flyers. If he can follow this up with a card like Biden, this is huge.
Yeah, the extra familiar evolve, the Raptor to get in there, and Matt has his Caryatid.
Yeah, I think you see a 3rd land, a Frostburn Weird, and a Thassa, all for Will. His hand is miles better than the last one he fought with.
Let's see what he chooses to do here. Just attack for 3 in the air.
Yep.
And
a
God of the Sea.
It's going to get to attack next turn thanks to Frostburn Weird too. And he has these Judge's Familiars for protection. This is a great hand for Will.
Matt's just got the Courser, revealing a Scavenging Ooze off the top.
But I mean, and this is where, like, you say, I think it's a bad matchup. Like, all right, this isn't a bad hand for Matt. Turn 1 Temple, turn 2 Caryatid, Courser, play a land.
What he wants to do.
Yeah, but you still feel like he's miles behind right now, don't you?
Oh, yeah, he doesn't have 3 flyers.
I mean, I'm looking at the deck. I'm looking at this. I'm like, God, I feel like Matt's almost dead already. Like,
yeah, with our knowledge of knowing that the Thassa is active next turn.
I mean, Matt's got to assume, right?
True.
All it takes is 1 permanence to activate it. Like, And now it's going to, so he's going to evolve
Yep.
the Cloudfin. Like, the mono blue decks, its good draws are just so, they're so much better than the Jund Monster's good draws.
When blue curves out, it just, you can't understand why anyone would play anything different.
Yeah, well, there are some decks that can deal with this kind of thing. You know, it's like against, say, like Supreme Verdict.
Right.
Fine, could
Or
deal with this.
Bile Blight would have been pretty nice.
Bile Blight could deal, well, it would have gotten Judge's Familiar, so it would have only gotten one card. That's why Judge's Familiar is kind of cute that way.
Yeah.
But, like, there are decks that can deal with this, but, like, Jund just isn't one of them.
Will bashed in there. Thassa and the Flyers to knock Matt to 8. Now Matt's in a bit of a pickle.
Yeah, like, right, he's dead next turn, but he's played all the cards he wanted to play.
Yep. He had Caryatid and a Courser. And that is a Mortars on top.
Way too late. I mean, I don't think...
What can he do to even survive till then?
Well, he's going to have to turn off the Thassa. So he'd have to kill the blue mana symbols off Will's side. And then if Will plays more next turn, he's going to have to get them at instant speed. So he would need, like, Mortars the Frostburn Weird right now.
You said he have ultimate price?
He has 2 in his main.
Well,
Stormbreath in the air.
Defensive Dragon.
That might buy him a turn. Will can swing in. We might have to swing in with just Thassa.
Don't forget the unblockable on Thassa that could grant.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He can
Yeah.
unblockable the Thassa through. He can... I don't see him away...
Yeah.
See a way for him. So wait, if he unblockables Frostburn Weird and Thassa, if he has he's dead, a land kills Matt.
Yeah.
Because he unblockables Thassa and Frostburn Weird, pumps Frostburn Weird to a 2 power, swings the 7 on the ground unblockable, plus 3 creatures in the air, has to be damage 8 and 9.
There's an Insurance, Judge's Familiar, and a Rapid Hybridization.
Yeah, for the Flyer, okay. Let's just get ridiculous.
We're going to go ahead and transform that dragon into the Frog Lizard once again.
How does that match it? Just take it, yeah. All right.
Shove them in and take the win.
Yeah, there's so little you can do against that. Will played, so if you here's a good way to look at it. He played 2 Judge's Familiars, a Cloudfin Raptor, a Frostburn Weird, a Thassa, and a Rapid Hybridization. So in the first 5, like, he played 6 cards.
Yeah, he used his mana as efficiently as possible.
Right, just his speed was so much faster. Matt was unable to, like, Matt played a card every turn. That's what Jund Monsters wants to do, but he's down way too much.
And that's the issue with the Jund Monsters deck, is decks can get under it. You know, when you fumble around and play mana creatures and things.
Yeah, it's got some holes that can be exploited.
But again, Matt on the play that game, whole different story. He gets to use that Mortars.
I'm not even sure Matt on the play is that much better. I mean, it's better, but he was a ways away from being able to deal with Thassa. Like, he needs to hope that Will doesn't do that.
Don't do that.
That's not fun. I can't stop it. Like, yeah, it's
deck that has been around since the first Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Stop it. Going to go back to the sideboards, but it looks like they already got their plans figured out and just shuffling right back up.
Yeah, play versus draw, I don't see being too relevant in this one. Both decks are trying to do the same thing. Matt Tierney, I guess there's actually one other thing you could look at. Like, I don't think he used it. He has a Bow of Nylea on his sideboard. I mean, obviously that can shoot down Flyers, but I don't think he'll ever have time to do something like that.
Yeah.
It's 5 mana before you get your first activation. It's probably just too much.
One thing, you know, off topic here, but involving Bow and Nylea, Kent Ketter, when we did the deck tech with his Green Devotion deck today, he discussed how Nylea and Bow is actually insane against the mono blue deck.
So gods with their god weapons are always really cool. I mean, Nylea and Bow means that no one can ever stop your damage, because you can just assign 1 and then the rest at the player.
Yeah, a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
What god plus god weapon is the best?
Ooh, okay, so we saw Heliod and Spear of Heliod together today. That is not going to be my answer, though. I don't think those ones they're not particularly broken together.
That starts with a temple. I'll let you ponder that question
Now
for a while.
you got me thinking about it. You might just have to say the Thassas because they're just powerful enough.
And Will with the Judge's Familiar.
Perforos Hammer of Perforos? That one's really hard to beat.
Seems
yeah,
pretty
I'm going to
good.
go with that one. All right. Back to the game,
Matt
though.
got the use. So let's see what Will's got for his turn 2 play. He's going to tap it down with Tidebinder Mage and attack for 1.
So, like, the extra dagger about playing against mono blue when you're Jund Monsters is like, oh, they just happen to play 4 of this main deck card that taps red and green creatures.
Oh, it's a delight. I've played green-white aggro, and I'm just
like
so happy about Tidebinder
Like, you
Mage.
can't main, like, really, you can main deck that? That's really annoying.
And all Matt has is a Temple and a Elvish Mystic. Or a Stomping Ground tap.
So Matt's going to take some damage here. Obviously, he's not going to get any good blocks this turn. The question is how much more Matt's, right now the board's pretty equal. Matt's a little behind. The question is, like, how far can Will put him behind right now? A Thassa would be real bad news, for example.
There it is.
All right.
God of the Sea coming down.
Yeah. Will's like, no, hold on.
That's why I played this card. All right, let's see what Matt can muster here.
Well, he would love to have a kill spell for Tidebinder Mage.
Yeah, you don't want to get attacked by Thassa next turn.
Right, and it would free up his ooze, and he wouldn't get attacked by Thassa. There's a lot of plus to that. He's going to go with Xenagos, I think.
Yep. All right, the Planeswalker.
Yeah, that's good here, but I really don't think it's what he wants.
Yeah, getting the Satyr token and playing another tapped land.
Right, so like if he were to sometimes you can do the ignore your opponent and counter race style strategy, which I feel like Tierney's too far behind to start playing that game. Xenagos is real good at that game. You know, he lets you play a lot of things in one turn, gives you a lot of attackers, but like Thassa's a 5-power guy who makes things unblockable. Like it's a dangerous game to play to try to race Thassa.
Yeah, when you can't get in the way of their creatures, the race is pretty difficult once it's swung. I mean, Matt would need something like a couple Mistcutter Hydras, and I don't even know if that's enough, you know, facing down what Will has here.
He's dead in almost 2 turns right now.
So Will finds another land.
Right, we see Frostburn. I think he's going to turn on Thassa.
God active.
And he's going to unblockable. It's an interesting one. He's going to pick Tidebinder Mage and swing the team. Now, if I'm Matt, I think. Okay, so the 3 unblockable power are all going at Xenagos.
Okay.
So he's just going to get Xenagos dead. And then the question is, and Thassa is going at Matt.
Do you want to throw away your token?
Yeah, do you want to use the Satyr to gain some life? I don't, I almost think you do. Matt disagrees, he's going to go to 9.
All right.
It's a tough call because, right, like next turn, I mean, you're not blocking things for a while. You have to have some pretty big removal if you want to get out of this.
He can't hope for Immortars, though. And it's not going to be the case because he's going to play a Temple of Abandon.
Well, he needs a 7th land to do Mortars. Judge is familiar with that sneaky ability in there.
Pesky.
Yeah.
Pesky 2-time Pro Tour winning card.
I know, two consecutive Pro Tours. The little bird.
He's got another defensive Stormbreath Dragon. Not normally how that card's...
No, when you're tapping up for Stormbreath Dragon and then not swinging, it's... Jund Monsters is a sad deck.
The opponent is pretty happy when that guy isn't coming in to play tapped.
And it looks like Erker at the ready. He has Rapid Hybridization in his hand. I think he has Rapid. He has another Frostburn Weird. He's got
just an embarrassment of riches.
He's got the weapons to take down Matt Tierney's deck here.
Let's see how he chooses to deploy his weapons here.
All right. The ideally correct thing would be, like, if there was untapped mana on Matt's side, you'd play Frostburn Weird first just so you don't get taken off Devotion. But that tap out gives Will some security.
Yeah. He has free reign over this board. So it looks like he's making something unblockable here.
I'm wondering whether you don't just make Thassa unblockable. Like, okay, so what you have to watch out for is 7th land Mortars. You're pretty cold to that line.
And maybe he just wants to cut down the draws. He's going to send in an unblockable.
And this is a super heads up play. By rapid hybridizing that elf, and this is exactly why he's doing it. He has taken, right, the only thing he's had to is Mortars plus 7th land. He's taken Matt off that line.
And then that worked.
Really good play by Will, and that will secure him a spot in our top 8 as he moves to 8-0.
Our first 8-0. Taking down the favorable matchup, as you explained early on.
Had a slight thing that he missed game 1. I think made up for it with that play there in game 3.
Again, in game 1, he might have just, maybe he doesn't think he can survive a turn. Maybe he has the read that his opponent has the Rampager.